Hey everyone, I'm Melanie of Art Studio 320. Welcome if you haven't been here before, and welcome back if you have. A couple of things. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so now. Just push that button, and if you want to ring the bell, you will be notified every time I post a new video. Also, if you want to follow me on Instagram at Art Studio 320, you can do that anytime, and you will get updates of my upcoming videos and sometimes bloopers. You never know what I'm going to post, so check that out. Today's video is an Ethan Allen dresser. Yep, it's a really classy piece of furniture. It was well built, and I was thrilled to work on it. I titled this one Retro Pizzazz. I don't know, it reminds me of when I was a kid. I love the handles, I love the little knobs. I did some extra detail on the drawers, so stick around so you can see how I did it all. First up today is taking off the hardware. I'm going to start with my random orbital sander and a 60 grit sandpaper to get down to that beautiful raw wood. Then I'm going to use my 120 grit to make it just a little bit smoother. And then I'm going to go down to the 240, which will make it super smooth. I'm using my 60 grit block sander to round out the corners here after sanding the edges. Now comes the fun part, measuring out my lines for the jigsaw. I'm cutting off the scallops and making nice straight lines for the legs. This took some time. I don't like to measure. And there's one thing that is difficult to think about when you're cutting with the jigsaw, because you can't just cut around the corners. You have to think about how you're going to get to that place where you can cut in to get rid of the corners. So thankfully, my husband Phil was there to give me a bit of direction, since he's very familiar with his Bosch jigsaw. This piece of furniture was made of maple, and maple is a very hard wood. So cutting into this wood was a bit difficult, but I have to say, overall, the jigsaw was pretty easy to use, and it was great being able to do what I wanted pretty quickly. A lot of measuring involved. One thing I learned about the jigsaw is you have to really think how you're cutting into the wood. When you're just making one straight line, it's not a big deal. But if you have to turn a corner, you can't just turn the corner. You have to come at it from another angle. And believe it or not, you would think in the moment you would just know what to do instinctively, but Phil was there to kind of guide me. You have to come at it from another spot completely, and you have to do it gradually. You can't just cut in, as I found out. In order to get a nice clean line when you cut, you have to hold the saw steady, straight up and down. You can't lean it one way or another. And you have to apply some pressure downward. But when you're pushing forward, you can't force it. You just have to kind of guide it. And it comes naturally after a while. It's a little awkward at first, but you get the hang of it. You'll see an example of what I was talking about with cutting on an angle. And you can see Phil show me that you got to cut in a little bit slower. You can't make it a sharp curve. You'll notice too that I had some painter's tape there that I was using as a guide after I really couldn't see my pencil marks with all the sawdust. So Phil suggested I put down the painter's tape. He said it was an old carpenter's trick. After I was all finished with the jigsaw, I needed to use my sander with some 60 grit sandpaper to go over all of the areas that I cut into so that there weren't any sharp edges. I added some water to my wood filler to thin it up a little bit. It was nice that I could do that. Then I covered up some of the areas that had some dings, and on the top of the piece there was a crack where the wood had separated, so I thinned it out even more to fill in that small crack. I'm using my 60 grit block sander here to smooth out all of the wood filler on the sides. There's my buddy Teddy. Then I come back with my Bosch sander with the 60 grit too, on the side and on the drawers. And on the smallest drawers, I sanded all the way down to the raw wood because I was planning on staining those two drawers. Now the body of the piece, I had a couple of spots I needed to sand the wood filler, and then I went over the whole piece to make it nice and smooth and ready to paint and stain. I decided to take the drawers inside the house to paint so that, well, it was really cold out, and so that the paint would dry a little bit faster. I'm using my Zibra palm brush to paint with, and this is the first time I've used the Dixie Belle Silk all-in-one, and this color is called Harbor. I have to say I really liked this paint. It covered in 2 coats and leveled out really nicely, so it was nice and smooth. You'll see I'm cleaning the drawers off once again with my vinegar and water just to be sure to get them nice and clean before I added some paint. Now on the smallest drawers, like I mentioned before, I was going to stain the middle, but I wanted to paint around the edges because I wanted that paint to stand out next to the stained body of the piece. So there was a nice contrast. Now this piece had some very nice dovetail joints, so I decided to add the detail of painting them because they're just so beautiful. It's such a classy piece. Well crafted. I decided to paint all of the drawers like this, and it really added a lot. This piece deserved a little extra love. I'm wiping off the body of the piece with a tack cloth to make sure I get rid of all of the dust before I start to paint and stain. I decided to paint the small little edge around the bottom of the top, if that makes sense, and paint the sides and all of the drawers except the 2 small ones on the top. What you see me doing here is trying out two different stains. Same color, the color is Provincial, but two different companies. One was Varathane and the other was Minwax. And I went with the Minwax because it was much darker and more like the color that I wanted. It was a rugged kind of looking color, and that's exactly what I was looking for. I did leave it on not too long, but I did leave it on a little bit longer just to get it a little darker. I'm using a Minwax wood conditioner here. The reason I'm using a wood conditioner is because the wood is maple and it is very hard. So the wood conditioner helps to absorb the stain a little bit better. I had used a Varathane wood conditioner on the body of the piece and I didn't like the way it was performing. So I thought I would try the Minwax, which just happened to be in the garage. You also notice that I am wearing a respirator. I put it on after a couple inches of the piece because it was oil-based and very strong. I should have had it on the whole time. This is the wood finish, the wood stain that I'm using. And you can see it's pretty dark, but when it wipes off, it's not nearly as dark as that. But it is exactly what I was going for. So I really did like how it came out. I'm using a chip brush, and I wash my chip brushes. I know people throw them out, but these were nice ones. I just use a mild dish soap. The brand Up and Up by Target is what I use. It's just like Dawn. It works very well on all my brushes when I'm painting with oil paint. Now here I am staining half of the piece at a time. I was afraid if I went too far it would start to dry and leave it blotchy. So I went about halfway down and then I wiped it off and did the bottom half. Just a quick reminder, when you are staining a piece with oil-based stain, be sure to get your rags wet before you throw them out. Don't leave them in your garage in a pile. They could ignite and start a fire. All right, I have some gilding wax here. Can you see it? By Dixie Belle. It's the cutest little container. And it's gold. It says gold right there. And I bought these. I was looking for cute little glass knobs and they didn't have any gold ones. So I bought the silver and I thought, I'm just going to use the gilding wax. So I tried one last night just to be sure it would work. I don't know why I didn't think it would. And it's perfect for my dresser. So I'm just going to show you how easy this is. I just have a little cheapy artist brush, but I wanted one that's soft. I'm just going to grab some from the lid here. That's a lot. That's the thing. This will last me a long time, I think. When it came in the mail, I thought, good grief, it's so small. And then when you think about what you use it for, you don't really need that much. So you just brush it on. It instantly looks cool, you know? It's just, and it's funny because I tend to gravitate towards silver. So I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. I'm doing the back. You don't need to do the back, but it just looks so cool. and then you just let it dry. And believe it or not, it will stay. Now, if you don't like it, you can probably rub it right off right now, but if you don't like it after it's dry, you can use mineral spirits and it'll take it right off. And there you go. It couldn't get any simpler. One more thing. When you're finished with your gilding wax, you want to wash your brush, and mild dish soap will do the job. I don't suggest you let it dry, but if you do, then you can use mineral spirits. Try dish soap first, but mineral spirits would work after that. Everyone, it's cold in the garage today. I moved everything out to the garage a couple weeks ago because it was so warm out. So it's easier because the furniture is heavy and there's stairs to the basement, so it's easier. So I just am a little cold, but no big deal. My little glass knobs are ready. I'm gonna put them on here. Oh my God, those look so cool. Woohoo! All right. Screwdriver. They look so cute. Just a little screw. That's pretty cute. Aw, that looks adorable. I'm gonna take this bare decorative finish. It's a brown wax, and add it to the top here. It occurred to me that I needed to protect the stained wood, and I didn't want to use just clear wax. I had bought some brown wax by Behr in the hopes that that would be a good wax to put on the rest of the painted piece, but it actually turned it kind of this weird green, and it looked kind of like somebody wiped poo on my piece. So that wasn't going to work. So I decided to use the brown wax on the stained part. By the way, my husband suggested a little game for all of you to play. How many times does my dog Teddy appear in my videos? And I told him if I did that, I would definitely have to add him to the mix as well. I'm going to tell you right now, I am not good at this. So we will see. We will see. I'm going to use a ruler. Which has very little paint in it. But enough. Because I always get too much paint on there. I'm going to use a meat tray. You see it? I have my camera really close. As I understand it, you want to get it on your roller and when it's sticky like that, that's when you want to put it on your stencil. Oh God. Oops. Okay, I think. Where's my rag? All right, guys. If this works, thank you to Katja, because I saw her do it like this. Oh, I did it! Cool. I'm not big on measuring, so I just eyeball it. It looks good to my eye, then it's going to look good to your eye. Oh, that is so satisfying. The third time around, I had put more paint on my tray, and as you see, it bled through. But all I needed was a little vinegar and water, and I wiped it right off. So don't be afraid to try this. I was, but don't be. After the fun with the stencils, it was time to vacuum out the drawers and the big body of the piece and clean them with vinegar and water and apply Dixie Belle's Mama's Big Butter. I made sure I put it on the bottom too so that the drawers would slide in and out. Of course, you know you're getting to the end when you're putting on the hardware and putting in the last drawer. Ta-da! Well, friends, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I feel like this one was much easier than some of the others that I've done. Technically speaking, not so much. In fact, I spent the whole morning at the Apple store, and I'm hoping that this video will come out on Saturday as planned. Anyway, be sure to check the description box below for all of the materials that I used today and a link where you can go to buy them if you'd like. Thanks for being here. See you next time.